Today is the first day of April 2021. Welcome to Pan-African News on Pan-African Television. My name is Abena, Dede, Narkie. We are live across 46 African countries and some part of Europe. We're also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. Our headlines. Member of Parliament for Tamale Central points accusing fingers at NDC's 13-member committee that agreed to approve Ken Ofori-Atta through consensus. Ghana Police Service issues 10 guidelines to ensure the Easter is celebrated within COVID-19 protocols and restrictions. Meanwhile, National Road Safety Authority is cautioning road users to ensure safety on the roads. And in business, we take a look at the state of the Achimota railway line. We have details of these stories and some others coming up in the next 1 hour. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying. This is Pan-African News on Pan-African Television with me, Abena, Dede, Narkie. The news in detail. The Ghana Police Service has come out with some security steps taken to ensure safety and security during the Easter festivities. According to the service, they are putting up measures to ensure that this year's Easter festivities will be celebrated in compliance with COVID-19 restrictions.
Media in Accra on preparations to ensure safety. The Director of National Operations, ACP Kwesi Ano Ahin, hinted that the service will be deploying officers across the country to maintain peace.
We're going to deploy a lot of personnel. All our office staff will be out there to provide security, including our patrol teams. They are going to be in plain-proof and they monitor the activities on the ground.
ACP Kwesi Ofori, Director of Operations for the Greater Accra Regional Command, listed some beaches that have been earmarked for possible public gatherings during the festivity and warned the public to stay away from such facilities.
One area that is of concern to the Accra Regional Command are the beaches. We know we have a large and long track of beaches across the country, in the southern end, and in our Beach, Bojo, Dansoma, Mensagini, Independence Square, the Rivera beaches, Nungwa, Teshi, and Sakumono beaches, stretching to our nearest region, Tema, up to Abena, and we vowed to make sure that we saturate the beaches with our personnel and forces.
On his part, the commanding officer of the Motor Transport and Traffic Directorate of the Police Service, DCOP Martin Teye, indicated that officers of the division will be stationed at vantage points to check drunk driving and other related activities.
Yes, we would populate the streets with NTTV personnel to check drink or drunk driving. And the strategy is that we would at vantage points stop you, stop the military public to check a few things, and some of these few things are either whether you are drunk or you are yourself. You are not being driven by a lawyer. The lawyer is not taking any intoxicants that will impair your vision. So we will appeal to you to assist us do that. And I know it will inconvenience some of you, but in the interest of the nation, we want to appeal to you to assist us carry this information to them, so that when we stop you, it is not a normal stop. We want to do a few checks on you.
Commanding Officer for Special Weapons and Tactics (SWAT), Chief Superintendent Theodore Omenu, sounded caution to operators of nightclubs and betting centers.
Some of the nightclubs in the night are also breaching this law. They open secretly by the support of some bouncers. They say the place no-go area. When we gather intelligence and we have all those information, we make sure we bring them to a stop. We want to enjoy a very free and fair Easter season. So, robbery is something that our units will be fighting assiduously to ensure that we bring it to the barest minimum. So, we have also noticed that bet centers have not been taken into consideration. Our youth nowadays convert as most of these bet centers, gambling in football and whatsoever. Without regarding this pandemic law has come to stay with us. So we need to also ensure that we
Now, road accidents have claimed the lives and maimed thousands of Ghanaians. Available statistics indicate that over 500 lives have been lost between January to February due to the carnage on the road. In the following report, Makiza Michelin takes a critical look at the causes of a rising number of road carnage on the roads.
Road traffic accidents remain a major cause of loss of human lives and properties. Research shows that road accidents in Ghana are caused by a series of factors including faulty vehicles, poor nature of our roads, carelessness of road users, inadequate road signs, inefficiency of the Motor, Traffic and Transport Department, lack of education, gross indiscipline, amongst others. Between January to February 2021, available data indicates that 517 lives have been lost. Out of this figure, motorcycles and tricycles accounted for 212 of the fatalities. This figure is a sharp increment to fatalities recorded between the same period in 2020. This has raised concerns and a call to action to stop the carnage on the roads by stakeholders. A conversation with the Director for Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority, David Osafu Adonting, revealed that the global long-term road safety target, which was set for the year 2020, was unattained.
So the 2020 would have halved that figure, which means that
which is a global figure.
It was a global declaration.
Okay, declaration.
And so Ghana bought into it, so that by the year 2020 would have halved our deaths on roads by 50%.
So is that the case?
So which meant that we were talking about less than 1,000. But if you look at what is on the screen, you can find that at the end of the year, 2020, we were unable to the next slide, we were unable to hit the figure.
Okay, so it was not achieved, the halving the... Okay.
So we have gone far beyond what we targeted, the global target. I must say that that is not to say that we failed or the framework was not working. It did its part of it. And you know, in every endeavor, there are challenges. This one is looking at the quantitative, something you can measure. But there are so many others that you cannot measure, but you can see some improvement.
He further stated that the lapses in operational mechanisms are causing serious challenges in the fight against road accidents in the country.
Our statistics or our investigation has revealed a lot of lapses in the operational mechanism. For example, it is very common in our investigations that drivers drive for a long distance single-handedly, driving for more than 500 kilometers, driving continuously for 24 hours
It's very common among these operators.
Which should not be the case.
Which is not
yes,
the case.
They do not have backups.
The law requires, and even safe driving practices requires that there should be 2 drivers for long distances. And nobody was enforcing this particular law or regulation. And so it's one of the things that we are coming up with. In recent times, we issued such directive that operators of passenger transport services must, for long distances, 500 kilometers stretch or above, or 8-hour journeys, must be 2 drivers. One will have to drive for up to a certain limit. He closes, go to rest, and then the other will take it up to the destination.
More data presented by the NRSA showed that a total of 1,050 persons were killed by motorcycles and tricycles between 2010 to 2020, whilst the trends in crashes between 2010 and 2020 increased from 11,506 to 14,886. The Director of Planning and Programs at the NRSA further urged motorists to avoid reckless driving with the Easter festivities fast approaching.
We should take advantage of this opportunity to advise all motorists, especially our drivers, that the statistics we are now recording, it's not good at all for Ghana. We can do better. So all the rules and regulations that we have given and engaged you on, please comply with them.
Now, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Murtala Mohammed, is pointing accusing fingers at the NDC's 13 members on the appointment committee for approving Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta through consensus. Now, speaking on Hot News hosted by David Otukono-Ato, Murtala Mohammed says the NDC would come out strong and more united.
As we elected the speaker, if in electing other people, we are not able to do what people expect us to do. Yes, they have the right to condemn us, and we must not be seen defending. But I'm saying that beyond the condemnation, let us have hope. You are not talking. By approving and voting to approve these individuals. The leadership didn't follow each of us to our polling booths. We went there individually. None of us is a toddler. We are all members of parliament representing constituencies.
Right.
So if we went in there and elected these people who I described as unfit to be ministers, then when the problem came, some of us attempted playing saint and pushing the blame. I think that the responsibility of leadership is that the backstop. In terms of the misconduct and the disgrace that we all did, we must take collective responsibility. Look, when we finished the vote, I said that I never voted any of them. Who voted them, do we know? And I won't sit here and try to play the saint, try to appear that I am so clean and the others are so dirty. That is hypocrisy. That is not principle. A principle position is that you take that particular action at the right and appropriate time. So when we did that, if there was any principal position to be taken by any member,
how serious?
You have Ken, apart from the lies, he messed up the economy. The reason why I don't want people to try to steal the moral high ground, if there is any blame to the appointment committee of NDC, no one should attempt to insulate himself. The entire membership should be blamed. We have 13 members from NDC, 13 from MPP. Those who are attempting to insulate themselves and appear to be clean and others are dirty, all of them are dirty. If if we want to say that the members of our committee are dirty. Why? The report that was brought to us in Parliament was that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta be approved on consensus. I haven't seen
that communication from the
I am talking about the report. Okay. I'm talking about what I know. When I saw the report and I read, Ken Ofori-Atta should be approved on consensus. none of our 13 members raised objection, because if you read the standing orders, even if one person said no, we would have had to subject Ken Ofori-Atta to debate and in voting. 13 of them all agreed that Ken Ofori-Atta be approved on consensus. So why would suddenly some people want to appear saints after they all participated in agreeing that Ken Ofori-Atta be approved on consensus at the committee level?
Well, that was Murtala Mohammed, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He says the NDC would come out stronger and more united. Well, we look forward to seeing that. Away from that, residents of New Legon in the Adenta constituency are blaming the Adenta Municipal Assembly for siting of unimproved structures along waterways in the area. According to them, this had led to intense flooding anytime it rains. Drainage system at Adenta New Legon has become the major concern for residents in the community. The drains have become the major cause of flooding, threatening lives and properties. The drainage constructed channel flood water that flows from the Ebri Mountains is now overgrown with weeds, which makes it difficult for the water to flow. Residents have also put up unapproved structures along the water lane, diverting the natural flow of water. According to residents, efforts to have the weeds cleared have proved futile due to these unapproved structures.
When it rains heavily, the water overflows and enters the compound. Sometimes it goes to the extent of entering into the house, and we even vacate the room so that we can come later and fetch the water. We would like you guys to come and help us solve this problem so that the water coming in the house and flooding the area will stop.
Residents who live along the drain said these unapproved structures have been there for some years now, and they have not seen any effort by the Adenta Municipal Assembly to remove the unapproved structures. Eric Tony Blair is the assemblyman for the area. Tony Blair is calling on the Adenta Municipal Assembly and the National Disaster Management Organization to
whenever it rains, you can see people having dwarf wall in front of their porches. It's just because they want to retain the water. And what amused me most is that those things you are seeing, it is people who are highly educated in society. They commit these crimes. The wall behind me, I understand the man is a lawyer, a lecturer. How can a lecturer build in a drain, for Christ's sake, in this country? You can see it. People complain, but nobody. So probably I have to pass through this medium, to appeal to NADMO at the national level, not the regional level, national level, to come to our aid.
From New Legon, Akwei Marion and Akpene Bright, Maya Sen's report for Pan-African Television News. Well, those were residents of the New Legon in the Adenta municipality. Yes, they are blaming the Adenta Municipal Assembly for siting of unapproved structures along waterways areas in the area, resulting to flooding anytime it rains. Residents of Awoshi A-Lang in the Anyaso constituency have expressed worry about the absence of drains in the community. According to the residents, the situation has become a death trap anytime it rains, but several attempts to get appropriate authorities to fix the drain had fallen on deaf ears. There's more to this. This bridge links A-Lang to Awoshi. Works on the structure began in 2020 with the expectations that it will, on completion, prevent flooding in the area and other surrounding communities. However, the bridge was completed without accompanying drains to take in flood water, resulting in serious flooding anytime it rains. According to residents, the situation is posing serious threat to lives and properties.
Boji wache won pofai wo pofai nínú kwa febu wo hin okono since beni kufuo ba bono wo voto wo ha NPP bi NDC yeko ye bi dan wo voto wo ha budane akeno ni wo twi issue oba fe awo bi ane kumo wo gbe won ta o gata ko mepo ke ko Teye bi ene wo bi kenyo ngbo ne wonye mi gota anya ba je mi awo fine o fe bridge ho awo fine won sumo won dabo hie shi mon ka wonye shpon fe poto besa no wo kutuka konklu ko segbe inu ya ikwe no chaki wo won po fai no wa fe yawo wo hie no because bopo no wo hie ka ni NDC yo amekwe wo eja ke wo voto wo ha ba ameke bi NPP yo iwo ka ba bi epo NDC bi ame ba bi epo wo won po fai bo wo to no fe yawo.
For school authorities are saying
rainy season, like you just said, we are fast approaching the rainy seasons, and the thing is that should it rain very hard, within an hour or two the place becomes quite okay for passage. So we have these boards, very thick ones, which we put right from the entrance of the school to where the bridge is, very thick and quite big. So with the help of the teachers, should it rain very hard, we have to wait, let's say, for an hour or two. And during that duration, the place becomes quite okay. So we put these thick boards there, and then the teachers here will have to convey the children in small numbers from here to where the bridge is so that they can find their way home. Residents
say they fear for their lives with the rain setting in and are blaming the central municipality for neglect.
Best 4 years in mislate me papa no me kotina da no so ntse ye gota bia wuti ha senso no unity a wonni ahoto ti so ni tuko ansa no hoto nkure de ba kope skum ha nyina nso ko anso bridge na wo maye no anka se ye bi wo ho se ohono ti se ha aha pepepe na nso no eto na yira na pa ya fa ho nti ya ye wa na fo ha nyina so yiri ye sa gota ne ya nye sa bridge ne dia ye nupi unni ahoto wa ha ntanda da unni ahoto ebra wo mo ye bridge yi kra no ye fo ni party e won so num dinti no wu ye ni so na ye nso yiri na nkaso wu ti yesre abawo ye mabo ne sa bridge no hwe no ye maye
me facho ahomboa de nya ahomboa ya amfa gwata na edaha no ho ntine yesra aban so ba be bibi afa gwata no ho ayeden amayin because ensuo no etokese won se ha na joint na etu ensuo no to a etumi yire eba dem oba da kora mpo ebia na wetu kwa
From A-Lang, Akwe Marion's report for Pan-African Television. Well, we are entering the rainy season, and the absence of drainage systems in our communities can result to flooding. And so residents at Awoshi A-Lang are calling on the government to fix their broken drains. As the rainy season approaches, residents of Panama, a suburb of Kokomlemle, are raising red flags to government to, as a matter of urgency, repair the broken drain constructed to prevent flooding in the area. Residents say they live in daily fear anytime it rains, since the drain was badly damaged after the 2015 June 3rd rain disaster.
In 1993 and completed in 1998, By the Jerry John Rawlings administration, this drain, which stretches from Silver Star in the airport area and connects to the Odo River, was constructed to deal with the havoc of perennial floods. For the people of Panama, a suburb of Kukumlemle in the Greater Accra region, the drain does not seem to serve any meaningful purpose after the 2015 June 3rd flood disaster that devastated Accra. Huge portions of the drain were broken after the floods, and all attempts to get appropriate authorities to have the drain repaired had not yielded any results. Several government officials, according to the residents, turned the community into a tourist site to inspect the drain amidst promises to have it repaired. But nearly 6 years after the floods, the drain is still not repaired. This has created serious concerns for residents as lives and properties are under threat anytime it rains.
Yes, sir. What this has assembled, Sensutua, a bufaso, and I won't say school so hase, and Koransu Namha. Wa utimeshwe ahase nyina abubu atomu won from since 2016 insonu to a ebufa so sa e fan krofo niama but yenwu obiara at least offer plans anase aban anase bibisa e na uhwe nso ankrofo dampa na mo dampo bola edigumu won aban so akase sa niama we nsu no enye but ube sorry anopa na nkrofo aba be dampo bola agumu nim bebi omofri enti wana na assemble na juma sai so mohwe se man nkrofo be dampo bola engumu na secondary no got ayibu ye ache omampanyin so ti ha yi a won na ha se nsu nkoda na mo ha se eko school enti yentwe se koda bi beto mu no wu anase bibi bensi ansa na ebeba be kase ye ba be ye gota no wuti ase school ye wo ha se nkoda bebre wo hono mu won de bia nkoda na mo anti so timi to ama ni yiri ha se nyina tese unya kwan obefa akọ ofie well anti ye nim de minim ukapa yes is in the pipeline government but it's in the pipeline from 2016 embassy in there.
Residents say they sometimes have to evacuate their homes when it rains, and despite the fact that they vote, they have been ignored as though they are not part of the country. Sueba recounts she even has to seek refuge on top of a roof as a result.
In lokaci adere ya fara ruwa na cikade nan ga duka yana shiga har dakuna mu duka da mu da yaran mu duka ana daga mu mu zauna kan zingili esa muna duban kuma da muka vote ma government ya zo ya tanye mu kuma tunda muka vote har yau ba mu gan wani ya zo nan.
Rainwater has eroded huge portions of the road beside the drain, thus rendering it unmotorable. The footbridge, which connects both sides of the drain and is used by passers, also sports significant damages, with some metal rods visibly exposed, thus making it a recipe for disaster for users. The drain is engulfed with plastic waste and fecal matter, but according to Ramatu, a resident of the community, the waste is transported from other neighborhoods into the channel, thereby blocking the flow of water and causing serious flood.
It is, but not all the rubbish here are from here. Some are from somewhere we don't even know. When it rains, it just gathers the rubbish and then just leave it here. So it's part, but I don't know.
Residents are calling on the appropriate agencies, including the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, to move in and offer solutions ahead of the rains.
Because she had than you. It's what I intimate na than near Pierre. Because the initial window near Musan and so it's me. And Yasamikitwa won't say if you're Roma to war. It's what I want to me. Because you are too about to pay 2 years in a not more for the shay and ya a good first a cotoquum and that it's added to 2 I say. And also to a unify say. So you are too about my government. It's a power 2017. And yeah, easy. Chef Adiani Paye, na bua to got him, and yes, Kakitwa. It's a paba choya to Abama, say, yeah, Yamuchiri and one brand of Buaye.
Bless Alomaso's report for Pan African Television News.
Well, after the June 3rd disaster, a lot of drains got damaged here in Ghana. And as a matter of fact, we are approaching the rainy season. So my question is, what is the government doing about the broken drains in Ghana? Well, I leave that to you. We go for a quick break. We return with business after this short break.
It's incredible. Bang on target.
I can tell what's a good deal to be dear. Hey, Truman capsules. One mama ya bema bion.
Truman ye marime drew and mofra woni imfie dun watri intumi num bi. Sa dwedie nkrato we FDA for hwemu agya tum say hye.
Yare baako a ɛha yɛ mema pa especially ya yenya 40 years and above no ɛfa yɛn prostate ɛho obetumi nya prostate enlargement anasta prostatitis sɛ wokɔ yaresabia na ɛka kyɛw sɛ wo PSA level no ɛkɔ higher kai na hu sɛ wo prostate no ɛho yɛ atɔkyema sɛ hu sɛ wokyem ansa na wadwonso wodwonso na emu apai anaso edu anadwo a wota adwonso a ɛna kai na hu sɛ wonya prostate disorder. So to me didi ye anasa watatenete ne wapom anasa wonya daily supplement bia ebetumi aboa ama wo prostate no ejina na nan so sambare man chechire we a natural link company a womode pros love capsules a eboa mbarema prostate true man ana dinner capsules eboa emba efrichiriko obetumi afra mo.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The Ministry for Railway Development has revealed plans to pursue appropriate policies for the expansion of railway networks across the country. In the following report, we take a look at the Achimota rail system and its response to modern demands.
Located in the Okaikwe North constituency of the Greater Accra region, boasts of a railway line which connects some suburbs of Accra such as Abena, Abelinkpe, Amasaman, Tema, and Nsawam in the eastern region. The Achimota railway line was constructed in 1911 and has not seen any major facelift. The current rail network, which serves 5 round trips per day, is characterized by old tracks, inadequate terminals, and platforms.
Oh, me huni say e kwano de o siesie beboa yen. And a train so by na yefu ekokurum enti me de ka me nko ade ankoye kwan na eye se no an yefu a edukokurum oh o munina o magye otum obesiesie kwan na ebeboa yen nyina obesiesie nyina ebeboa yen to munina agye otum ti asem bie ni ho fo eno ana me dikokurum ko to ne ton e ma me ho so ya ha nti e ba ebeboa yen.
Despite the rail line saddled with many problems, encroachment on lands along the line is seriously affecting the lifespan of the lines. Unapproved structures, including slums, are fast springing up along the borders of the line. For the dream of government to modernize the country's railway sector, it has become imperative that lines including that of Achimota be reconstructed.
Say start no kakra say eja rain sunuba be ejuma be ko up and down abantino ye show
A resident, Abeku Banso, expressed concern about the dilapidating state of the Achimota railway line and urged government to fix it quickly.
Well, my little take is that looking at the current state of the railway lines in Achimota here, is quite bad. And then when the minister, as he's saying, he wants to revive the railway and he's able to at least make the tracks strong, bring new trains to run, at least the area will look quite good, and also to ease traffic from at least in Saom, so because the main road is just here. People use from Accra through Domi to Nsawam. So when the railway is being revived, at least it will reduce traffic. And also here, the time and when the train runs is 6 in the morning and then in the evening. After that, the track is free. You see, excuse me to say, some of the guys, they smoke here, they do other things here. So when the train is being revived and it's working fluently, at least the track will be neat and then the place will also look.
From Achimota, Daniel Asari's report for Pan-African Television News.
Well, this is the update on the interbank cedi performance against some major currencies. That's all for business. International news is next.
It's incredible! Bang on target!
On the international front, on March 30, members of various feminist collectives, women's organizations and residents of the Tulum municipality in the Quintana Roo state of Mexico took to the street of the municipality to protest the femicide of Salvadoran migrant Victoria Esperanza Salazar by the local police. 300 protesters demonstrated at the intersection of Satellite and Tulum avenues and then marched to the city hall to demand justice for Victoria and other victims of femicides in the Quintana Roo state. The Tulum Feminist Collective also demanded cessation of police brutality and police violence. 36-year-old Victoria was murdered by 4 police officers, 1 woman and 3 men on March 27. While detaining her, one of the officers, the policewoman, held her down with her knee on her back, and despite her complaints that she couldn't breathe, no security official did anything to help her. When they noticed that she was not moving, they didn't call an ambulance, but instead carried her limp body onto the back of a police truck. According to the autopsy report released on March 29, Victoria suffered fractures of the first 2 vertebrae of her spine that led to her death. Victoria was a mother of 2 girls and had moved to Mexico on a permanent humanitarian visa in 2018. She was living in Tulum and was working as a housekeeper in a local hotel. The police said that they responded to a public disturbance call and alleged that she was detained for public inebriation. The protest to demand justice for Victoria extended to the cities of Cancun, Chetumal, Holbox, Playa del Carmen, Cozumel and Felipe Carrillo Puerto in the Quintana Roo state, as well as to the capital Mexico City. In all these protests, Mexican women denounced the escalation of femicides in the country and the impunity surrounding the crime. Mexico is one of the countries with the highest femicide and impunity rates in the world. According to the official records, an average of 10 women are killed every day in Mexico, and and less than 10% of these cases are solved. The day Victoria was killed, 3 women were called. The day Victoria was killed, 3 other women were also murdered in Quintana Roo. Several national and international feminist groups and human rights organizations have denounced that Victoria's death is a case of racism, classism, misogyny. Several national and international feminist groups and human rights organizations have denounced that Victoria's death is as a case of racism, classism and xenophobia that prevail in the country and have called it an example of how migrants and the poor are treated in Mexico. The Santam Collective, through a thread on Twitter, condemned the regrettable incident and pointed out that Victoria's death brings up several issues, such as the issue of state-sanctioned narco and or xenophobic violence against Central American migrants, the issue of police brutality, and the issue of racist and gender-based violence. The collective emphasized that as of 2017, the NGO Mesoamerican Migrant Movement estimates that over 70,000 migrants from Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua have gone missing crossing Mexico during the past decade. The organization also said that the American police and military are known for their constant disregard for human life and highlighted the massacres carried out by the Mexican police last month near the Mexico-US border, in which 19 people were killed, including 13 Guatemalan migrants. The collective also stressed on the fact that despite the influx of rich migrants and tourists in the area who drink excessively and consume drugs publicly, the only migrant or foreigner stopped this weekend over alcohol use and later killed was a dark-skinned, low-income Central American woman. The entity said that Victoria's death exposes a system that targets people like her. UN agencies such as the International Organization for Migration, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, in a joint statement, also repudiated Victoria's murder and stressed that it represents a case of double discrimination, as the victim was a woman and a migrant. They called on the American authorities to carry out a prompt and impartial investigation of the case. They also rejected the excessive use of force by police and demanded that the authorities adopt necessary measures to prevent the repetition of this type of event. The 4 officers have been fired, detained and charged with the crime of femicide. However, feminist and human rights organizations have expressed that this punishment is not enough and that there is a need to change the system killed Victoria. The National Human Rights Commission reported that it has opened an investigation into the case and pointed out that violence against women takes place within a framework of social impunity for which the American state has the obligation to guarantee them a life free from aggression and to implement actions and policies to guarantee their human rights. Credit to our international partners. People's Dispatch. Coming up in sports, Hazaka's ladies to represent Ghana in the Maiden Cup Women's Championship League. In sports, Hazaka's Ladies FC have received a nod to represent Ghana in the Maiden Cup Women's Championship League. The GFA settled on the secondary-based club after receiving a notification from the Subcontinental Football Governing Body, the West African Football Union B.
Section 2.3 of the CAF Women's Champions League 2021 regulations permits the GFA Executive Council to decide on who represents member associations in the Champions League. Hazaka's ladies were champions of the Ghana Football Association Normalization Special Competition, hence gaining the nod of the association to play in the competition. The club is expected to begin the campaign by participating in the qualifying phase, Wafu Regional Championship coming up in June 2021 before progressing to the next stage.
Well, that's a good one there. Wishing the ladies the very best of luck. Still in football, the Ghana Football Association, GFA, has rescinded its decision to admit fans into games when the Ghana Premier League returns this weekend, following further consultative meetings with the National COVID-19 Task Force.
Initially allowing the entry of fans to match centers this year, the Ghana Football Association were forced to reimpose restrictions and ban attendance completely after a number of teams were found to be disregarding the COVID-19 protocols. Last week, however, they announced that teams could readmit fans at a 25% capacity, but made a sharp U-turn on that decision following a meeting with the government COVID-19 task force. The decision is based on measures being put in place in combating the COVID-19 pandemic during the Easter celebration and taking into consideration the continued efforts of government to avoid a third wave of the virus. The football governing body has, however, indicated that they will work closely with the government's COVID-19 team to ensure a safer return of spectators to the various match venues.
Do some tennis. One of Ghana's formidable table tennis players, Hilda Agbota, will take part in the World Table Tennis Day tournament on April 6, 2021. The event, which is being supported by the Ghana International Table Tennis Federation, is scheduled to come off at Koforidua in the Eastern region.
The World Table Tennis Day is observed across the world in order to highlight the significance and positive impact of playing table tennis, as well as using sports as a tool for individual and economic development. Over 100 young players are billed to take part in the highly anticipated and fully packed event. According to her, giving back to her community has been one of her major priorities, and she chose to celebrate this year's Table Tennis Day with the people of Eastern Region because that is where she began her career. She, however, encouraged the youth to keep working hard in order to achieve their aim and disclosed that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, safety measures and protocols would be put in place to ensure a successful and effective World Table Tennis Day event. Table tennis rubber sheets, balls including other materials, will also be up for grabs. Hilda Agbota, who is currently ranked 4th in the senior national team, the Golden Loopers, has also garnered experience and vast knowledge of the game with the acquisition of her White Empire badge.
Congratulations to Hilda Agbota. That's all for sports. Entertainment is next. Now, April, which references the opening or blossoming of flowers and trees, also unfolds the celebration of Easter, which is marked globally by Christians. On our entertainment desk today, we delve into the origin and essence of this religious festivity.
Easter, also called Pascha, is generally accounted the most important holiday of the Christian year, observed in March or April each year to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus from the dead after his death by crucifixion, Good Friday, which Christians believe happened at about this time of year almost 2,000 years ago. Easter can also refer to the season of the church year lasting for nearly 2 months. The story behind Easter lies in the New Testament of the Bible, which narrates how Jesus was arrested by the Roman authorities because he claimed to be the Son of God. He was then sentenced to death by Pontius Pilate, the Roman emperor, by crucifixion. His resurrection 3 days later marked the occasion of Easter. This day is also closely associated with the Jewish festival of Passover. Orthodox churches such as the Greek Church base their Easter date on the Julian calendar, while other Christians use the Gregorian calendar. The name Easter is derived from Ostara or Oyster, a pagan goddess of fertility, whose feast was celebrated on the vernal equinox. The word East is also derived from her names as the oestrogen, the female hormone. In Saxon culture, the Hari was sacred to Ostara, and the modern tradition of the Easter Bunny is a distant echo of that. Easter is celebrated as a joyous occasion, and the Sunday prior is called Palm Sunday, which marks the arrival of Jesus in Jerusalem. Various churches begin the celebration in the late hours of Saturday through a religious service called Easter Vigil. Non-religious celebrations include the tradition of Easter eggs, which represents fertility and birth, and Easter Bunny, which delivers chocolates and sweets to kids on Sunday morning. However, in most languages other than English and German, the holiday's name is derived from Pesach, the Hebrew name of Passover, a Jewish holiday to which the Christian Easter is intimately linked, as the Gospel of John states that the Last Supper took place during a specific part of the Passover traditions. Easter therefore depends on Passover not only for much of its symbolic meaning but also for its position in the calendar. The dates when Easter is celebrated varies from year to year. The problem is that the Gospels are pretty vague on the date of Easter. Matthew, Mark, and Luke indicate one date, whereas John indicates a different date. Another factor is that Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus. To early Christians, his return for a second time was imminent. Therefore, they didn't worry too much about dates. As the centuries passed, this lack of clarity around the dates meant there was no standard date for Easter. For example, by the late 3rd century, if you traveled around Europe, you could celebrate Easter several times in the space of a few weeks. In Alexandria, Easter was always April 25th. In Rome, it was April 18th, and in parts of Gaul, it was celebrated on March 21st. In fact, in parts of Celtic Britain, the crucifixion was commemorated on a Thursday instead of a Friday. It was only after several attempts to set a standard date for Easter that the formula of the Alexandrian Church was accepted as the correct way to determine the date. With this method and a passing note to the method of calculating Passover, Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon, whose 14th day is on or after the vernal equinox. The earliest date that Easter can be is March 22nd, and the latest is April 25th. Modern Easter celebrations revolve around eggs. They may be painted, rolled down hills, or eaten if they are of the chocolate variety. The Christian tradition of an egg is an aid to represent rebirth and resurrection, new life being born from the egg. It's also been said that egg recalls the shape of the stone that rolled away on Easter Sunday from the tomb that held Jesus' body. This egg tradition is almost certainly a distillation of a much older pagan custom celebrating spring. The ancient Persians celebrated their new year at the time of the vernal equinox by painting eggs. Its adoption into the Christian traditions would have been quite seamless, as eggs are banned during the period of Lent preceding Easter. In fact, in many households, the last eggs before Easter would have been used to make pancakes on Pancake Tuesday.
Well, that is the origin and essence of Easter celebration. Happy Easter to all Christians. Before we go, a look again at our headlines. Member of Parliament for Tamale Central points accusing fingers at NDC's 30-member committee that agreed to approve Ken Ofori-Atta as the finance minister. Ghana Police Service issues term guidelines to ensure the Easter celebrated within COVID-19 protocols and restrictions. National Road Safety Authority is cautioning road users to ensure safety on the roads. And in business, we also looked at the state of the Achimota railway line. That's all for this afternoon's bulletin. My name is Abena, Dede. Thanks for joining us.
My name is Samuel Obriadriama, Ridge Royal Hotel Cape Coast General Manager. We are ready, waiting for you to come and use our facility again after closing the hotel for 3 months. We closed because we wanted to have a better understanding of the